You can call me Wretched, and today is another project lore building day. Before we get into the credenza and looking at all of that stuff, I kind of want to click on this and see what Roland's gonna say. Who's going to show up? Is it just gonna be, oh, it's everybody. Okay.
그렇게 심각해?
이것은 중대 사안입니다.
What's the serious matter? Are we planning a birthday? Is it Roland's birthday or the days that Roland showed up? That'd be so sweet, wouldn't it? If they actually took the time, now that they're friends with Roland, to throw Roland a birthday party. Because there's so much garbage out in the world, especially in this world, in the city. Isn't it about time someone celebrates something fun?
맞아. 그냥 넘어갈 수 없는 문제야. 곤란해 정말.
Oh wait, trouble? I didn't sign up for trouble. I signed up for birthday parties.
무슨 일인지 이야기해봐.
Oh, Angela doesn't even know.
네츠아가 튀었어.
Where? Where to? It's an infinite space. It'd be kind of hard to track him down if he's trying to hide.
이번 도서관 청소 담당은 예술부입니다.
응?
Oh. I see what happened. Nat was on cleaning duty and just took off. I don't blame him. I would too. Those hallways go on forever. I don't want to clean a forever hallway.
뭔가 짚히는 것이 있습니까?
아니. 그럴 리가.
That's suspicious. What do you mean? Is he just hanging out up in the caterpillar?
보조 사사들도 전부 데리고 어디 숨었나 봐.
Really? They're all gone?
청소라니? 너희들에게 청소를 하라고 명령한 적은 없을 텐데.
각자 담당하는 방의 관리는 자율이지만 함께 이용하는 복도는 돌아가며 청소를 하는 것이 낫다는 결론을 내렸습니다.
Aw, it's kind of sweet. It's kind of like, you know, the bunch of roommates. Like, okay, here's the chore wheel. You get to spin the wheel. That's what you get. And Net gets to clean the corridor today. Hod's on dishes, and Malkuth has, I don't know, the lawn? Is there a lawn here? There's got to be greenery somewhere. There's probably so much stuff that they actually, if they're taking the time to really clean thoroughly this entire library, there's so much to do. This might also be like their attempt at doing something that feels normal. You know, taking care of a shared space is sort of like a normal thing, but just seems, I don't know, kind of weird, right? Is there dust here? Does dust happen in the library? Isn't it just made out of light? Doesn't it just all fall through?
너희는 스스로 일을 더 벌리네.
Yeah, they do. They do that. That's just people in general, though, I feel. Everyone, at least everyone I know, loves making a big fuss out of certain things. And I think that's what's fun about humans. We make a giant deal out of tiny stuff. And then most of the time, anything absolutely terrible happens, we're in such shock that it doesn't even faze us until way later. That's so cool to me. The brain and how it works is just, it's so mysterious, and I love everything about it.
혹시 문제가 될까?
문제가 되지는 않아.
다행이다.
They act like chores are a reward. Like, don't take away my chores. When I was growing up, and now, I hate doing chores. I despise doing dishes and cleaning stuff. And never do I want to fold my laundry, but I know I have to, because otherwise I trip over the giant pile in my room.
그래서 서로 고민하고 있었어. 네츠아가 대체 어디로 숨은 것일까 하고.
He's in Roland's department. I know I'm not supposed to tattletale and like tell, but I clicked on Roland's department. He's got to be there. Go look in Roland's. He probably is bribing Roland. Probably brought a bunch of booze and stuff. And just like, here, you can has this if you don't tell anyone where I went. Nettie always seems to be like someone who would work harder at trying to get out of work than actually just do the thing. And I respect it. I respect that grind.
자,
Oh.
여기 냈죠.
Oh, she teleported him in. That's what the snap was. What if he was in the middle of something, like sitting on the toilet, and she just snapped him in?
뭐야? 어떻게 된 거지?
도서관에서 너희를 찾고 데려오는 것쯤은 나에게 일도 아니야.
That's not fun. This could have been a whole game of hide and seek, and Angela just ruined it by just teleporting him.
네짜흐! 복도 청소 순서는 지키기로 약속했잖아. 자기 차례에 도망치다니 너무해.
술 냄새가 진동하는군요. 뒤에 예술부 보조 사서들까지.
Oh, they're all there. She just snapped in everybody. Everyone's just hungover. Oh, what a cruel, cruel wake-up call.
이건 다 사정이 있어서 그래.
We were up partying all night with Roland, and this is what happened.
무슨 사정인데?
말이나 들어보고 싶군요.
자자자, 넷자여도 다음에 조심할 거야. 응? 이 정도면 충분하겠지, 안 그래?
He's trying to deflect the whole conversation. Go, Roland, go. Put those skills that I know you have to the test. You can do this. You gotta smooth over this whole thing before people find out that you threw a massive party and didn't invite any of them.
아니요, 저는 들어야겠습니다.
네짜흐!
나도 청소하는 것이 싫지만 하려고는 했다고. 그런데 혼자 넋두리 하던 도중에 롤랑이 농땡이 치기 좋은 장소를 알아냈다면서 술을 좀 나눠주면 알려주겠다고. 그러면 청소를 안 해.
Oh.
이
you throw up?
친구가 아직 많이 좀 많이 취했네.
Yeah, see, he's intoxicated. You can't trust a single thing he's saying. Obviously, he's lying about all that. Roland would never, ever convince someone to slack off.
술도 약하면서 참 술을 좋아한단 말이야. 어?
Yeah.
롤랑, 네짜흐의 말이 사실이야?
What? Where did that come from? Why did you ask Roland something like that? What makes you think that anything that Nettie said is true?
아니, 그럴 리가.
It can't be. That is the most like non-sarcastic comment ever. Like he's trying his best not to be a giant liar, but you can just tell. It's so suspicious.
그러고 보니 당신에게서도 옅은 술 냄새가 나는군요.
What? No, that's just from all the hundreds of other librarians back there. See? Over there, they smell like all of the alcohol. Not me, obviously.
실망이야.
Oh.
야, 미안해. 나도 넷자와 같이 청소 도울 테니 용서해주라.
Volunteering to help. Is that so you don't get yelled at anymore, Roland? These two are like small children. They're like twin brother small children that just goof off together, and then when they get scolded, they just pout.
아니, 오늘 청소는 물론이고 너도 청소 당번에 끼도록 해.
뭐?
That's what you get, you big jerk.
좋은 생각이에요.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I agree.
그렇다면 저도 이번 일은 눈 감아 드리겠습니다.
그럼 앞으로 청소 잘 부탁할게.
롤랑도 혼자서 일을 더 벌리네요.
I love that. That's hilarious to me. I don't even actually remember where we left off, but I know I need to go back into the credenzas. I think I left off with Olga's page. And we'll start with the carnival? I read the carnival. I know I read the carnival. I think the carnival was the last one that I read. Because there's a lot. There's a lot of credenzas here. This was probably our first introduction into what was like a full portion of the story. Because I'm imagining I'm probably about halfway through the game based on what people are saying. And yeah, see, the sections just keep getting bigger. So we'll start here. I'll start with Liwei's page. Again, I apologize if I get all their names wrong. A color is the dream and lifetime goal of all fixers who wish for freedom. Those who have been assigned a color are called the colors. A color is the pride of the fixer and the associations. They put forward the colors as great and successful people that other fixers will look up to. They dream of earning wealth and fame and to be free like them one day. Colors are assigned by the Hana Association. They're bundled into such a category because the Hana deemed them to be the most ideal fixers, because they're the most adequate individuals to deal with the stars of the city. The title of a color is forcibly given to fixers who qualify, essentially. Can a fixer be truly happy with freedom that was forcefully handed to them? So, they don't actually want it? Even though it represents a dream and it represents freedom. They don't want that. They're just given the title of a color. Well, I guess they don't have to necessarily accept it either. It's still going to be their nickname, it's still going to be their name, but they don't have to change. They're just kind of, I guess, given more privileges and higher tier quests to go on and missions to do and jobs to do. The other thing that kind of struck me in this whole conversation is they're specifically chosen because they're the most adequate individuals to deal with the stars of the city. So stars of the city are bad things, like library is. And not like bad, but things that go against the city. Because when I first heard Stars of the City, I thought it meant, like, this is a really cool thing. This was something that people aspire to. Not, this is something that is nefarious in the city. Like, the library is super popular for making people disappear and for doing horrible things that go against what the city is all about. The most wanted. It's a most wanted list is what it is. That's kind of cool. It totally changes my thought process. Because again, I was thinking, well, why the heck would the colors who are associated with the associations, who are affiliated with the wings, why would they be after the stars of the city? But then again, why do they call us a star of the city? None of that made sense until I sat down and thought about it for a second and realized, oh no, we're nefarious. And then why colors of all terms when there are many other stylish words to choose from? I have no comment to make, since I don't know the reason myself. My assumption is that colors are used because giving people hues representative of them makes it easier to refer to and remember them by. It may not be the answer you were expecting, but it can't be helped. The colors have their own ways of working, and they have basically nothing in common. Really? It's akin to how visible colors have their own vibrant characteristics. In that sense, the term colors isn't entirely off-putting. I guess, yeah, that would make sense. It'd be really easy for people to remember that because it is completely different than giving them a letter or a number, because that seems so short and it seems so definitive. Like a color is just a thing. That's just a fact of a thing. Like the sky is blue. The ocean is maybe blue, sometimes green. Grass is green. Leaves on trees are green. Those are just facts. So to give someone this kind of a grade, this kind of a title, wouldn't necessarily separate them from any of the other colors. They're all basically on equal footing, but they're all distinctly different. And I think that's what sort of makes the color category so unique, is that there isn't one color better than any other color. So they're not trying to separate them out that way, but they do want to, they're so popular of fixers and so awesome that they do want to give them a title that makes them unique from anyone else in the whole city. That's really cool to think about. The other thing you can sort of think about it is that maybe the colors that they're assigned are unique to their personalities. Like Gabora or Callie. They are the red mist. Red is usually the color of passion or anger. That's sort of fitting for someone that is essentially a war god. Blue, normally you would think of as sad or melancholy. Calm. I don't know what else blue would... I don't know what else blue would be. And if that's the case, what does that say about the blue reverberation? Because they don't seem... I guess maybe melancholy, even-keeled and calm. That would totally fit, I think. because there was never a moment where they showed any real highs or lows to their emotion. Even when... Yeah, no, but we haven't really seen them in any sort of extreme peril yet. So there might be something to that, but I haven't interacted with any of the colors enough to really know what the heck to expect. Besides Gabora, we've messed with Gabora a lot, and we've definitely I can vouch for her having a hot-headedness and being very fiery and very prone to anger. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe not. Steven's page, let's read this one. Few fixers use guns for self-defense. Bullets cost an arm and a leg, and foes who are relatively powerful tend to dodge shots like it's nothing. And I can barely graze them. There's not a lot of ways to react to enemies closing in either. You'd have to be quick on the draw and shoot them in the weak spots. If you aren't, the other options are running away or grabbing some prop to guard yourself. Like hell, that'll save you, though. It takes several augmentation procedures to be able to carry something as heavy as a firearm and run fast enough. And if you're a sniper, you'll be busy packing up your weapon, mounting everything. Have to make unnecessarily big movements. And what if the precious gun gets damaged if you try blocking your foe's attack with it? Oh, but I was just talking about the kinds of guns me and Tamaki use, not firearms in general. You see what Lue's carrying? I heard there are lighter rifles, and some that come with bayonets for close quarters combat. But mind you, those guns have their fair share of downsides, so don't be too quick to buy them. You might as well save the money and get a quality workshop weapon, or an augmentation surgery instead. Heck, you could probably buy a fine weapon with the money it takes to buy bullets for target practice. You weren't planning on using guns in actual fights without even practicing, were you? I mean, go ahead. If you really want dislocated shoulders and severed fingers. Dang, these firearms are very dangerous, aren't they? Despite all this, there still are workshops that manufacture guns and people like us who use them. Guns are just that comfortable to use. Those heavy taxes won't be a problem as long as you use your gun for its intended purpose. How many defenseless thugs standing in the middle of the street can notice a bullet flying toward them? Of course, it'd be even easier to get specially made workshop devices that use a special technology to muffle the sound of gunfire. But don't expect too much. There's currently no technology in our world that can completely cancel out noise. And it won't exist in the foreseeable future. You don't need that to make guns work, though. All it takes is an advantageous situation. Yeah, I mean, if you can get the drop on someone, or fire the gun from far enough away that while they're not noticing, you can definitely bring down pretty strong people. Now, the hard part is if you miss. If you miss, you are screwed. Because, again, once they sort of know what's going on, it sounds like they can predict the trajectory of the gun. They can dodge the bullets. I mean, they sound pretty useless unless you're ambushing someone. Kind of what I'm saying. What seems really interesting to me, though, is there's no idea of like a combat shotgun. Or, wait, hold on. Yeah, I don't see any combat shotgun here anyway. Maybe it exists, but it feels like there's a really easy way to fix all of this. You have combat shotguns. A shotgun is perfect. It is completely designed for close range. You don't have to have an advantageous situation because it has spread to it. So you really can't miss. They're not going to dodge all of it. Or if they do, they are amazing. But you could just make something that it is strong enough and powerful enough to just say, you see this area over here? Yeah, let's screw that whole area over in that direction, and it just disappears. I don't know why they don't make something like that, besides, again, I think we've had this conversation before, but it feels to me like they definitely don't want guns to be the great equalizer. They have technologies that can keep people at a certain state, like a reset point on a warp train, where if they turn into mush, you could just put all of whatever their DNA is back onto that seat, and you just pop back into existence the way you were when you first entered the train. They have that. They could do this. I know they can. It would be easy for them, and they choose not to. So there is a reason for it, and I guarantee it's just they don't want guns to be the primary weapon of choice for people. And some people brought up the whole idea of one of the big reasons why the city is so opposed to guns isn't necessarily that they could be a good equalizer, because obviously they could probably just make armor or like a light shield, like one of those halo shields that go around your body that could just protect you against firearms. If they really wanted to, they could stop all of the weapons that they put out. So that sort of tells me that maybe the person who commented this, and I don't remember who commented this one, but they said that the city is really, really big on this idea that death should be personal. So maybe they don't want guns because you can, again, just reach out and remove someone. That sort of, it demystifies life and death, and it blurs the lines between them. I really don't know. Maybe Tamaki's page will have something about it. There aren't many workshops that can craft guns. Setting aside the low demand, the difficulty of acquiring a firearms manufacturing license, and the head's strict guidelines are the biggest limitations. The guidelines include clauses such as the maximum length of the gun barrel must be shorter the higher the gun's caliber is. Maximum length must be shorter the higher the caliber is? Oh my god. Well, good news, you can't make a tank. Or at least you can't make like a howitzer or something. Because that essentially would be this long. And if it's this long, the kick on that and the accuracy of that is so low that it would be pointless. So they're keeping the calibers artificially low. No gun should possess the firepower to penetrate steel or building walls. That is stupid. I'm not saying that everyone should have that capability, but in the city, if it can't penetrate steel or building walls, I'm assuming that that's for like to protect all the people in buildings. Okay, I can understand that. You don't want anyone getting caught in the crossfire, but it feels like building walls, unless the buildings are a lot more durable than I think they are, it feels like steel and building walls would be like your minimum armor strength, right? I would definitely have armor then that just is as strong as a building's wall. They have these measures in place to make sure that guns do not become strong. A gunfire sound must be audible, so that's why Steven said that they're not going to have technology to remove the sound of the gunshot. And I haven't even started with the bad ones yet. The first page of the guideline boldly states, do not research or imagine technology that infringes the firearm manufacturing guidelines, as provided by the head along with the license. I'm not a gunsmith myself, so I don't know the details. And I frankly don't want to know any more than that. There certainly are workshops permitted to make S-class firearms, but I'm guessing only 3 to 5 of them exist in the entire city. Who do they take requests from? Where they are? And what kind of people run them? They're all a mystery. The most I could hear was a rumor that an S-class workshop exists somewhere. People say that the head put heavy restrictions on firearms because they don't want its denizens to be harmed too easily. It's true that a gun can effortlessly kill a person with one well-placed shot. That's not all. The assailant doesn't have to show themselves to attack, and a flying bullet is simply too fast for the average person to track with their eyes, making it a fine weapon for stealthily killing others. But making it harder to kill people doesn't seem good enough a reason to impose such restrictions. What about the countless other trifling and useless methods that exist to kill people? I just cannot understand that they would see this as a solely philosophical issue. Are you asking if it's because the wings don't have sufficient technical expertise? I'm not here for senseless chatter. The wings could easily make superior weapons with their technology. There's no real reason they could improve upon the current designs. There are probably some people who feel the same as me. They don't question it further or try to dig deeper into the truth because, well, they have their hands full with making their ends meet. And they don't want to risk losing it all meddling in business secrets, I suppose. That makes sense. That's why none of the common people would question it. But that's sort of what I was trying to say before, is this isn't just strictly a philosophical question. And there is no way that they would let the general public have weapons that the head and the wings couldn't outdo. They could definitely make stronger and stronger weapons and just continuously have a massive arms race to the top. And eventually, I think the big reason why they don't want this to happen is the second that you start giving people that kind of firepower in anything other than themselves, you also remove the human aspect to the process. So killing is the number one profession, it seems like, in the city. And if that is true, then weapons is the number one moneymaker for the city. And if that's true, workshops and private entrepreneurs, both legal and illegal, would be constantly trying to make stronger and stronger weapons. So if guns become that powerful and they're allowed to become stealthy and sneaky, eventually it gets to the point where humans aren't required to kill other humans. So these jobs can be committed by robots and AI. And these jobs can be committed by people who would gladly change themselves completely into this big hulking beast of a machine with 2 mounted Gatling guns. If they could afford to do it, they would do it. And I think that's the main issue here. They don't want to remove the human element because for some reason, this idea that humanity must always exist and people need to have pride in themselves as human beings is so prevalent here in the city. Which blows my mind because they're not trying to better humanity. They're not trying to improve the human condition. They're not trying to improve living conditions. They're not worried about quality of life. They're just worried about themselves and keeping themselves in power. So I honestly believe that the only reason they are so opposed to people becoming less human is because they couldn't keep up with how fast people could grow, especially really smart people that are willing to sacrifice everything to better themselves. They couldn't keep up with those people if they were able to just swap out body parts. They don't want to turn this into the first person to go full mech wins. And they definitely don't want to give AI any sort of leg up because then that's how you get Skynet. Isn't that what it's called from like the Terminator thing or whatever? I don't remember. Salvador's page. This one's weird. What? The greatest urban legend. Is this just a job that Salvador had to do? This feels like a job. Or is this Salvador? Is that his nickname, Thousand Needles? Isn't Thousand Needles a Final Fantasy thing? I might be mistaken. Description. This document is a compilation of relevant information on the case of the Thousand Needles, which occurred in the back streets of District 22. Real close to District 23, I'm assuming. So we're really close to the bad end of the neighborhood. And while a clear conclusion on this case has yet to be made, it is speculated to be a case of the distortion based on the apparent inability to confirm the cause or analyze the composition. Case report, entity A01. The first apparent source of the incident was wandering the back streets of District 22 before swelling up and exploding. Oh, God. Numerous needles were dispersed upon the explosion, flying in all directions. The needles, which stuck onto building walls, caused the site of impact to melt and crack. Oh, this is the thing that Yuna went and brought down, isn't it? Yeah, yes. I vaguely remember her being right next to something that essentially melted everything around her. And it exploded, causing a massive explosion. So I think this is the thing that Yuna went and either brought down, dealt with, or she was trying to track down or something. I'll keep going. When a human was struck with one of the needles, they were transformed into A02, going through the same bizarre process of detonation A01 did. Oh, that's cool! This is a lot like some of the abnormalities we had, that if you got hit by it, you become the thing. So, Melting Love was an example of that. Our little Mushroom Prince was an example of that. Queen Bee was one. The orange symbol on the nape of A01's neck was also found on the needles discharged from its body. When I arrived at the scene after taking the request, the bits of flesh scattered around the streets began to merge into one giant body using a brainstem focus resonator, becoming a 3-meter tall mass that I will refer to as A03. A03 began throwing large needles, the length of which varied from 1 to 3 meters. Holy crap, that's huge. Unlike the small needles fired from the explosion of A01 or A02, that could only leave small dents on building structures, the giant needles flung by A03 caused buildings to helplessly melt. In addition, local residents who stared into the entity's eyes or holes in its body soon produced a boiling sound before turning into A02, so I had to forbid people from observing it closely. A01 visited 00 office to give a request 4 days prior to the incident. Refer to the audio transcript of testimony from a fixer of 00 office. Judging by what they said, such as, made a deal with the devil, and terrible things will happen if I break the contract, it is speculated that yesterday's promise is behind the incident. Yesterday's promise! That's Pluto! Right? I'm remembering something. I'm proud of myself for remembering something. I probably got that wrong, and I'm going to look like an idiot, but I think I remember that's yesterday's promise is Pluto. And that makes total sense to me because, well, we saw it. Philip did the same thing and he turned into a distortion. So this person did the same thing and turned into a distortion. This thing seems so cool. I love these distortions. I don't want to be one or see one in real life. But the idea that someone dreamt up these things is kind of neat to me. I kind of want to meet the people who can brainstorm this kind of stuff. Oh, okay, got it. When was it? A person visited our office last Wednesday? If my memory serves right anyway. They introduced themselves as an ordinary resident of the back streets of District 22 and said they urgently needed help for something. There were huge bags under their eyes and their hair was a tangled mess. Their eyes were lifeless and blurry. There was some sort of symbol on their neck, as if they'd been attacked by a Stigma Workshop product or something. The desperation was palpable. They couldn't even walk straight, and they were straining to approach me with their awkward steps. I managed to calm them down a little bit, and they said, "I'm sorry. I'm not sure how I should explain it." In short, they made a contract with a devilish person of some kind, and they're scared that they might break the contract. So they were now asking us to take care of the devil, so it can't kill them as punishment. I still don't get what that was about. Even though I'm talking about it, to be frank, I just couldn't understand what they were saying. Not just because their level of knowledge and manner of speech was lamentably inferior. No. All they uttered was a series of simple words, but the splendid images delivered in those hysteric words they let out like they were possessed by something. I can't dare try to describe them. They kept saying confusing things like, "We'll skewer people's heads and make a necklace out of them to offer to it." What? They keep getting closer. They're multiplying in numbers. They're approaching from inside me, all with the mysteriously bright glint in their eyes. You'll see how confusing the whole situation was if you give this file a listen. Don't worry, we record them with the client's consent and everything, so there's nothing illegal about this. Refer to evidence 5100 office counseling audio recording. But what can I do, really? The whole deal with the devil thing just sounds too unrealistic. I honestly thought they were lying, so I made up an excuse to turn them away. It's for your best, because if you went after Pluto, you would all be dead. There's nothing you could... I don't even think they could find Pluto. This is so weird. I'm assuming Pluto is a distortion. But Pluto has this ability to make other distortions, which is odd. Maybe because like that's part of their distortion, that they can hand off a little bit of their distortion energy, and when they do it, it transforms the other person. But they can only do it once certain criteria have been met. That's my assumption. I have no idea if that is true or not. And if that's the case, why then is Pluto and Blue Reverberation working together? Right? And if Pluto and Blue Reverberation are working together, because we also know that they're working with Church Lady. I always forget her name. Eileen? One of those. We know that they're working with the puppeteer. So all of them are all working together. And they all are creating distortions? Are they just trying to like flip the whole city? Just drive it mad? That'd be kind of a cool bad guy scenario. I would love to fight someone that's trying to flip the city on its head by just turning everyone into distortions, which is essentially what we were trying to do anyway, sort of. I don't know what the light would have done if it actually went through, whether people would have just turned into distortions, or if it would have purged all of the evil desires out of their hearts and they would have been recreated, reborn as people who actually had worldly desires and they had dreams and hopes, and they would have been working toward the betterment of mankind instead of being very like self-centered and self-serving people. I don't know what would have happened. I do know that this sort of feels like Pluto got an extra dose of light and is just sharing it with people. Sharing is caring, but similar to a disease, I don't think people want this. Maybe certain people. Maybe Philip's happier this way, because Philip had sort of given up on everything in the moment that Pluto decided to gift them this new power. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people do want this. Maybe Pluto is helping these people somehow. But I'll have to figure that one out later on, because I doubt Yuna's going to have anything to say about it. We're still, I think, talking about her dealing with Thousand Needles. Derry said something strange to me. They told me they made a contract with someone, and they're scared that they might break it. They said they don't know what horrifying penalty they'll have to face upon breaking the contract. I tried to calm them down, saying they should be fine as long as they don't actually breach the contract. But Derry got ticked off and complained that it's unfair how they're supposed to comply with unfavorable terms hidden in the fine print. Then they broke into tears, saying they're doomed anyway. They apparently agreed to do 3 tasks in exchange for gaining power. And the rest is omitted. No, I wanted to know, what is the deal? I know power. I have to do 3 tasks. What are the 3 tasks? Do I have to recall that messed up memory? All right. If it's necessary to prevent another incident from happening, I guess there's no choice. You can record it, sure. I don't remember everything that happened, actually. That day was just like any other, except Derry showed up in the streets after going missing for a few days, looking awfully gaunt. Other than that, the weather was normal and the streets were the same as always. I know, that's when the incident started. Derry was walking the street as they mumbled something, but they didn't seem to be heading to a specific destination. It's like they were staring off into space and forcibly dragging their feet along. They said strange things, like something keeps coming, or boiling. They were always a bit of a weirdo, so that didn't bother me too much. But then, Derry's body began swelling up. All I could think at that moment was how funny they looked, expanding like a balloon. The scene was that unrealistic. Maybe it was the shock of confronting an unbelievable situation, paralyzing the human brain, or the brain beginning to believe that it's only a dream and marveling at the scene. But I was just standing still and staring at what was going on. Am I really in reality? But before I could gather myself up, the incident happened. Derry's body blew up and weird needles went. Mrs. Madrid, who was standing in front of me, was struck with one of the needles, and her body swelled up and exploded into a shower of needles. Just like Derry did. I luckily managed to get away without getting hit by any needles. I ran right to this office without turning back once, and now, I don't think I can get back there. I wonder if anyone else lived. I wonder if my friend Midgen's alright. If my house is fine. I'm curious. But I just can't go back. I can't do it. What do I do? I don't want to go back to... The interviewee's breath became coarse and unstable afterwards. The recording was suspended as it was deemed that the interview could no longer proceed. So this person got away. They witnessed this distortion. It's kind of interesting to me that at least this one didn't do any major psychological damage. This one was all red damage. Because anyone that wasn't hit by it wasn't affected by it. Otherwise, I mean, with the pianist, people went nuts. So it's really cool to me to see that this whole idea of physical damage, psychological damage is still there. It hasn't changed from lobotomy. It's just sort of different, but it still plays a huge role in the lore. So, and I guess, looks like we're about halfway through this. So I'll finish up reading the rest of these in the next episode. So thank you so much for watching this one. And remember to take care. And goodbye!